And welcome into the Tuesday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Tuesday morning. Hope everybody's off to a fabulous start of their day today. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you? What's going on?
Doing great. Just enjoying this Derrick Henry MVP season. How about that guy?
Seems to be going quite well for him. What did he finish with? 15 carries for 169 yards last night?
Sure.
That's pretty good.
Sounds about right. That's not bad. Shout out to Brian Summers and many others who were like, well, the Ravens are already good at running the ball. That's not a big ad.
Yeah.
Shout out.
15 carries, 169 yards, a long of 81, and an average of 11.3 yards per carry, Joe Rexrode. I think you'll take that average every time.
On pace for, I thought someone said he's definitely on pace for more than 2,000.
Yeah.
It's pretty well into the 2,000 territory. So, yeah, pretty awesome. And I know he plays for the Ravens, and that is a conflict for sure. But I hope most people here are enjoying watching him play while also wishing he still played for your team.
Well, yes, all of those things. And also, I understand it's the Ravens. You don't want to root for them. But I think we're past the point now where you got to worry about running into the Ravens in the postseason or something. That's, that ain't going to happen for the Tennessee Titans. So rest easy, Titans fans. It's not going to be a conflict of interest at any point this year. I can guarantee you that.
Right. Just a conflict in your heart.
Right. Exactly. Keyser, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Doing well. Feel rested for a late night puck drop, Robby. You ready?
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. They're doing this thing. It's an ESPN creation, Rexrode, where all 32 teams in the league are playing today. So you got 16 games in the National Hockey League. So they try to stagger out these puck drops. So somehow Nashville and Boston got stuck with 7:45 p.m. Central tonight. Really looking forward to that. Let's just add an extra hour on to what's already a late night.
Well, I assume there's probably a random 8:30 on the schedule this year too, right?
Probably.
So, at least it's better than that.
Yes. But yeah,
but
should
it still
be fun
sucks.
times.
I'm
should
sorry.
Be fun times tonight. Looking forward to that. We got a whole lot to get into on the program today. We will get into the hockey team. Preds at 0-5, trying to avoid 0-6 tonight against the Boston Bruins. We'll get pretty deeply into the Predators coming up in today's show. Ralph Russo from The Athletic will be with us at 7 o'clock. We'll get into all things college football with him. Gentry Estes from the Tennessean will be with us at 8 o'clock as well. And we'll get into a myriad of different topics with our man Gentry Estes from the Tennessean. As always, taking your thoughts in the meantime, 615-737-1025. Joe, before we get into the Titans, I do want to get your thoughts. Looks like Tua going to be back and going to be playing next week. He was asked yesterday about his decision and talked about that and the Guardian cap. He's electing not to wear the Guardian cap. So I'm not overly surprised by it. We talked about it at the time. My expectation was he would probably come back and try to play football again. I think everybody is going to be a nervous wreck watching him play football when he does it. But what do you make of Tua? And it looks like he'll be back this week for the Dolphins.
Yeah, well, I think the speculation can probably end after that presser at this point about whether he's going to bag it, with these injuries. I mean, basically said, he had some pretty strong comments on that. So look, it's his life, and when it comes down to, the Guardian cap thing, look, some guys do. I talked to this during camp, a lot of the Titans about that for something we were doing at the Athletic, just like a poll about the whole, through the whole league.
Yeah.
And there are definitely guys who, some guys are like, yeah, cosmetically, I think it looks stupid. And to me, it's like, okay, who cares? But others I actually feel slower with it. Now is that just in their heads? It's very light. I don't know, but hey, again, it's there are more dangerous jobs in the world that people do. This is a very high paying job, obviously.
Yes.
And especially
at that spot.
Yeah, exactly. Good luck to him. And it seems like he just has terrible luck. And obviously he's had a couple of those that look so bad. And when you see someone, when you see the concussion play out the way it has with him, with the signs like on the field. It just seems so extreme, you know. But again, like I said at the time, I still would argue that like someone like him, as compared with like linemen, linebackers, the subconcussive hits that build up play after play after play, you could argue that that's still more dangerous for all the guys protecting him, you know. So I mean, it's a risk that everybody I think at this point understands, that it can be devastating to you. It can be dangerous, and affects people differently too, you know, like having these things clearly. And that's where I hope the science gets to is really some sort of predictive situation where, you can sort of assess your personal risk in terms of the long-term effects of concussions. But just wish the best for Tua.
No doubt. Wish him the best of luck, and hope this is the last time that we're talking about, Tua and concussions and all that. Hopefully he can get through the rest of his career and it's not an issue again. So we'll see how that plays out beginning, looks like this week for the Miami Dolphins. Joe, Brian Callahan addressing the media yesterday in his weekly Monday press conference. Titans have fallen to 1-5. They've got the Detroit Lions coming up on Sunday. As we discussed yesterday, they are a 10.5-point underdog to the Detroit Lions on the road. Callahan discussed a lot of different things yesterday at his press conference, Will Levis being among them, and basically talked about, the minute that Levis is healthy, the intent is for him to continue to be the starting quarterback. We'll see if it's this week, if it's next week. If he needs more rest, then he'll get more rest. But the intent is at whatever time that he feels like Levis is physically able to do his job, is that Levis is going to be out there at quarterback. The DeAndre Hopkins situation was brought up yesterday as well, Joe, and said that he did not finish the game on Sunday because he was dealing with some lower leg soreness, is what Brian Callahan said. So there's one explanation for DeAndre Hopkins not finishing the game, lower leg soreness. Jalen Duncan, week to week with a hamstring injury. So the search, Joe, continues at right tackle, which, again, as we talked about yesterday, I don't know that I've ever seen a lineman get a hamstring injury, but we have now with Jalen Duncan with a hamstring injury, who is now week to week. And there is a potential that Tajay Spears could return to this week's game after missing last week's game with a hamstring injury. Lots of things that Callahan discussed yesterday. What in particular stood out to you?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's clear it's like basically anyone but NPF right now at right tackle.
Yeah, he talked about John Ojukwu.
Yeah, so I mean, I expect, some kind of maybe practice squad signing this week. That's kind of what I would think would be very possible. And of course, there was also more of the Levis talk, which again I thought. You texted me yesterday. I wasn't able to hear like Stilly's breakdown of how someone held a gun to Brian Callahan's head and or wrote the script out for him. But
it was beautiful.
It was so break it down for me.
Well, the general synopsis is he told Levis one thing, he told the owner another thing, and the motivation behind it all was he didn't want to lose to Buffalo by 50, and instead thought he'd lose by like 20 with Mason Rudolph, because he knows Mason Rudolph gives him a better chance to play well in the game. So he told Levis, hey, I know you feel like you could go, but I'm just trying to look out for you. He told Amy Adams-Strunk he was trying to protect the quarterback long-term future, but deep down he knew that Mason Rudolph gave them the better shot, so that's why Levis didn't play.
Sorry I asked. That's actually dumber than I thought it might have been. Yeah, the whole problem with this thing is I think the real story here is that they screwed up then. I get it. Okay, he feels fine, all that stuff, and he extended it late in the Indy game. But I think that's where if you're really going to criticize these guys for this particular thing, there's plenty of things otherwise. But if you're going to look at this particular thing and criticize them, I think it's why he played against Indy, right? Yep. That's the story. The idea that Levis would participate in something like this, and when he's actually healthy, to me is absolute folly. I think that's ridiculous. And also, so is the idea of, I don't want to lose by 50. We'll just lose by 30. You're not beating Buffalo. We just saw Mason Rudolph play. He played better than Levis in the first half, but Yeah, okay. Well, we can brush that to the side, but I mean, I just personally, I just don't think Brian Callahan is getting up there lying left and right. I really don't. If he is an incredible performer. Like if he is, then actually, especially if football coaching doesn't work out, I know it's off to a rough start here as a head coach. He should actually look into Broadway.
Wow.
You know, because again, I find him to be believable on this and most things. It just also he's losing, and so when you're losing, then all of your traits become bad. But I tend to believe him on this. So I also would tend to think that Levis doesn't play in this game. And so I understand the idea. It's like, okay, so then you get him out of there, Buffalo, Detroit, and then you can bring him back to New England and get some confidence, you know.
Right.
And so if that's how it plays out, then we can people who want to buy into that fantasy can buy into it. But I believe that like you do not play that kid until there's no more soreness, because I mean it's already a rough enough evaluation, and if you have limitations on the arm too, then how is anything good going to result from that?
We're off and running today on Robby and Rexrode, taking your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll have more. I already have a lot of your reaction on the text line that we'll get to coming up next as well. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home with a $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We're taking your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. Now, listen, if you're one of those people that right now is tired of hearing about the Tennessee Titans, number one, join the club. Number two, we got a lot to get into today, so don't worry. We're gonna cover a lot of ground today here on the program. But right now, we are taking your thoughts on the Titans. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Dustin from Hopkinsville on the text line says, calling it D-Hop to Tampa after the 2 injuries to their best wide receivers yesterday. I would imagine, Joe, after watching Evans and Godwin go down last night, that Tampa could now be added to the list of teams where that could be a possibility.
Yeah, and that is a really tough scene for the Bucs. I mean, it's whatever, 41-18, right? And then I like, you won't want a team necessarily to stop playing, but a lot of times I think this happens in the NFL a lot, where I'm like, this game's over. There's 5 minutes left, and these starters are still in this league where people get brutally injured all the time.
Right.
And so it's kind of like, I mean, Todd Bowles is going to take a lot of crap he did last night. And it's fair to question, like, why are you still having these guys out there? Because Chris Godwin has apparently a dislocation and fracture of his ankle.
That's not good.
Which is awful. And it's actually, I mean, the guy's been having an incredible year. I mean, now Evans, it looks like maybe a hamstring. He'll be back, but that's also, not great. But the Godwin thing is awful. Having this incredible year, that team with Baker throwing to those 2 veterans. I mean, like, those guys are like ageless. And so that's terrible. But also, yes, I feel like you could probably throw them immediately into, and look, I mean, I hate to say it this way, because I feel bad for the guy, but now the market has a chance of picking up for the Titans if they're trying to get something for D-Hop.
Yeah.
If the Bucs are desperate for a receiver, along with, I think the Chiefs should be all in on that too. So, yeah, I would think that they would definitely be a team looking intensely for a receiver.
Well, did you again, I'm totally with you on everything you said about Brian Callahan. Like, I don't think he gets up there and just like lies at the press conference. I will say I did chuckle a little bit when he talked about the lower leg soreness for DeAndre Hopkins. That one did make me laugh a little bit. I'm not saying that he doesn't have lower leg soreness, but that is the type of thing, Joe, I will say, that people say sometimes when they want to excuse putting somebody on the bench, maybe for some front office reasons.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's possible.
And I'm not saying that's what he was doing. I'm just saying that has happened around sports before.
Yeah. Now, Kaharski was, I mean, I do also agree with what Kaharski had said, is like, if it's that, like, if then you don't play them at all. And I mean, which we see, seems like we see that more, like, even like in like the NHL a lot, right? Where it's like, okay,
so-and-so's not playing for trade related reasons.
Yeah. So, I mean, but yeah, look, that could definitely be, who knows what's going on with that. That situation is strange. There's a lot of strange situations with this team. And at different points, people doing these jobs have to lie.
Yeah.
I mean, but like the Levis injury thing, boy, what an elaborate web that would be if
really would be.
If this fantasy that some people like to come up with is true. Oh man.
He really needs it's like a daytime soap opera. I kind of like it. I'm a big fan of it. Way to go, Steely.
Yeah, maybe that's not a bad idea. Unfortunately, General Hospital's on during his show. Maybe like Guiding Light or something.
Days of Our Lives is on in his show too. So he's got them all covered.
Yeah, but like I think Young and the Restless, he could probably get in before the show while doing show prep and maybe satisfy the scratch the itch.
I think he could too. Chuck on the text line. Is the consideration of Levis playing also different because he has second round money and not top 5 money? Amy just doesn't have as much invested in him. So if it doesn't work out, it's really not that big of a deal. This from Chuck on the text line. I mean, second round pick, still a high pick, and it's a high second round pick. Now, to your point, Chuck, it is not, the same money that it would be if you like drafted Anthony Richardson, where the Colts did, right? So it is different from that perspective. But I don't know that that's influencing their decision to play him or not play him right now, Joe. I just think it is what it is with the shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, look, because he's been so bad this year, like if I recall correctly, there were people on the text line the day after the Miami game saying, I don't think he was really hurt. He just stinks and they took him out. It's like, guys, watch the play and then watch him on the sideline wincing in clear pain. Was he immediately like, I'm going to pretend to be hurt now? I mean, I know, I understand. Like everybody loves these, it's got to be some kind of, diabolical thing, but no, I think he actually got hurt. And so let's say he was a top 5 pick and he's playing this poorly and now he's hurt. Then you just still have to force him onto the field. Why? I mean, my gosh, the Carolina Panthers aren't putting their number 1 overall pick on the field while they lose 40-7 with a 49-year-old backup. So
hey, he got out there for 2 passes the other day.
Oh, did he?
Well, yeah, 2 for 2, I think.
Wow. Okay. It's turning the corner. But, again, I understand that franchise should not be the example for anything but like how to be the worst franchise. But I'm just saying, I mean, he clearly got hurt. And then I think, again, the mistake here was downplaying that and saying, no, he's got to play in the Colts game. That's, to me, the bigger issue than now him not playing.
By the way, Bryce Young was 2 for 2 on Sunday for -4 yards. So congratulations were in order yesterday for us all, outgaining DeAndre Hopkins on Sunday. Congratulations to you all yet again for outpassing Bryce Young on Sunday as well.
Banner week for all of us.
It's pretty hard to complete 2 passes in the NFL and end up with negative yardage. That's tough to do.
That is. Screen, I guess. Maybe they screen behind the line because it's a forward pass, but I get blown up. Okay.
Good for the Panthers.
Worth a shot. Yeah.
Meanwhile, you had Marcus out there just slinging it on Sunday. 18 of 23, 205, 2 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 132.8. So have some of that, Bryce Young.
AJ had a big game too, so a nice weekend of Marcus, AJ, and Derrick Henry providing highlights for the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
Titans fans to watch.
A nice Titans fan from 2019, you really enjoyed watching that go down this weekend. You really did. I mean, look, we talked about it yesterday. I do think there's some apathy starting to set in here with the fan base, and it's not the Titans fans don't care anymore, but it does kind of feel like the same thing every week, right? Like you're watching an offense that's totally anemic, that really doesn't feel like it's got any chance whatsoever to put up points. You're losing all the time. So you're 1-5 now. We talked about the schedule yesterday, Joe. It's hard to find many more wins for the Titans on that schedule. There's the new stadium that's a part of all this, that the timing right now for the Titans isn't great. And then there's what I think is in the back of everybody's mind, which will, again, I think at some point here, Joe, probably bring them out of apathy. I just think it's too far away now to really care. But like, if you are looking for a new quarterback, you're right back in this cycle again where you need another quarterback, you need a young wide receiver, you need a right tackle, you need an edge rusher. And it kind of feels like some of the same things that we've been talking about with this franchise for years. And I think people are growing tired of it. Like yesterday, the reaction on our show, I would say up until this point, you tell me whether or not you agree or disagree. Up until this point, there's been a lot of anger after these losses on Sunday that we've kind of been dealing with and talking through on Mondays after the game. Yesterday, there was some of that. There was a whole lot more yesterday from Titans fans, Joe, of, man, I'm just so tired of watching this. Like, I don't know if I can do this anymore on Sundays. It was just more exasperation than anything else.
Yeah, this is there's another, I guess, argument we can have moving forward. I know that Jared doesn't believe that there's apathy. Here's the thing. There's always going to be like the people, especially on social media, I think like Titans Twitter, the usual suspects who are really into this team and they break down the film or they just start, just heavily invested. And so there's still plenty of anger there, of course. And they're going to watch them. I mean, the diehard fans are always going to watch their team, but I think it's more a little bit more casual, not totally casual fan, but like there's grades of fandom, right?
Yes.
There's like shades of it. And I think that you get away from the people that are always going to be angrily commenting on things and get more into the people who are going to, basically their interest is going to rise and fall with performance. I think some of those people are already starting to be like, okay, I mean, we've seen it on our text line. Yep. Great. Got something else to do this Sunday.
Well, I think you're going to, if Sunday goes how I think it's going to go and they just get their doors blown off by the Detroit Lions.
That'd be a good game.
Well, they might get beat by the Tigers right now. If they get beat by the Lions and they're 1-6 coming back home for the Patriots game, I mean, you're going to see it reflected in the stadium, that game, right? Like, we've seen this before with this team. I just think right now it's a tough sell right now to get a casual fan to commit to the amount of money you have to commit to buy tickets, park, buy food for your family to go watch this product right now. Like, it's a tough sell, I think, to pull that off right now if you're the Titan.
Yeah, and that home game too. That, the thing about that is it's like November and it's the Patriots. So Patriots fans knew their team was going to stink.
Yeah.
The whole let's have a weekend in Nashville thing starts to, as it gets a little later into the year, it's the weather isn't probably going to be as good. And then so both teams bad. That might be just a real barren scene at that stadium, as opposed to even like a takeover from the opposing fans, which makes it an even worse atmosphere, frankly.
I got one text that says the Detroit Tigers would beat this team. They might. Tigers got hot at the end of the year.
Scooble looks like he'd be a good safety. Devin from Dover, days of our Levis. Well done. Well
That's
done,
pretty
Devin
good.
from Dover.
That's
pretty good.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Rexrode's got a stat that I think is going to make Titans fans, if possible, potentially feel even worse heading into the Lions game coming up on Sunday. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, the game.